Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us here for the new regulations of Oikotex in 2024. My name is Jonathan Verley. I'm the EcoPassport product manager, and I will be talking about all of the new regulations for our different products, our different certifications and labels. So there have been some changes in the limit values for Standard 100, Organic Cotton, Leather Standard, and EcoPassport. As every year, we start the year off by updating our applicable test criteria, our limit values, and our requirements for its range of certifications and labels. And here will be a complete list of all the changes to our restricted substance list. Now, these changes will go into effect as of April 1st, 2024 for all products. This means it's not just for the limit values. Unless it's explicitly stated otherwise, all of these new rules and regulations will go into effect as of April 1st this year. So let's start with our PFAS changes. We have added 2 new substance groups. So first is the PFCA related substances. Here we have added a limit value of 260 micrograms per kilogram, which is a European legal limit. Additionally, we have added perfluorohexane sulfonic acid, its related substances, and salt. Shortening would be PFHXS. And there we have added a sum value of 25 micrograms per kilogram. This has been added to the Standard 100, Organic Cotton, Leather Standard, as well as the EcoPassport. We have also made a change for fluorine testing. We now look at total fluorine. This replaces the extractable organic fluorine content. So, and this has gone into effect already. So since the 1st of January 2024, total fluorine has replaced the EOF, or extractable organic fluorine, for a more effective ban of intentional use of PFAS within the Standard 100, Organic Cotton, Leather Standard, and EcoPassport. The limit value here has been set and adapted to 100 milligrams per kilogram for all product classes and all standards. There's a special exception for PPEs for the total fluorine content, though. We also have some new substances of very high concern that we added. One is a diphenyl phosphine oxide, and another is a bis-chlorophenyl sulfone. Both have been added with 1,000 milligrams per kilogram. 1,4-dioxane has been added with 10 milligrams per kilogram for the Standard 100 Organic Cotton and the Leather Standard, but with 100 milligrams per kilogram for the EcoPassport. There have been some other smaller further changes. First of all, phenol, a limit value of 100 milligrams per kilogram for all product classes has been added in the Leather Standard. Then for STCP and MCCP in the Leather Standard, the sum limit value has been decreased to 50 milligrams per kilogram for all product classes. And the limit value for glutaraldehyde has been removed from the Standard 100, as our tests and samples that we looked at over the last year have shown that it was really not relevant. Next, let's talk about the standard updates for Made in Green. So we had integration of organic cotton into Made in Green. So we updated the Made in Green main criteria 1 and related sections for integration of the organic cotton standard as a product certificate along the Standard 100 and the Leather Standard. We also made some changes to the criteria 3. It now reads single components that equal or exceed 5% of the total weight of the product shall be supplied by STEP certified production facilities. This concerns only facilities with wet chemical processes. Metal and plastics accessories, as well as rubber and cardboard, are not considered. So this is simplification because there used to be a rule that 85% of the total content would have to be STEP certified, but this was deleted. In addition, the main criteria 3 will be expanded to include wet spinning processes as well. There is an additional article description requirement for 4.3.3. The article description shall include information about materials in their product, including at minimum the fiber content of main components. So a main component is a single component that exceeds the before mentioned 5% of the total weight of the made ingredient article. And a small component is if it's less or than those 5% of the total weight. Below you can see some examples. First, a skirt made of 100% suede, or number 2, pajama set including a long sleeve top and a trouser in polyester or elastane fabric, dispersed dyed and printed all over. For example 3, a t-shirt made from knitted fabric that is 100% cotton and mixtures with polyester, viscose, and elastane, yarn dyed, and pigment printed. There is also an application of criteria for wet chemical and process for main components. So all dyeing facilities shall be included in the bathing green supply chain and certified according to STEP. This applies to all materials composition of main article component, regardless of their fiber blend. And also all wet spinning facilities should be included in the bathing green supply chain and certified according to STEP. Again, this applies to all material compositions, regardless of their fiber blend. Moving forward to Standard 100 and the 2024 updates there, we have some important changes. First of all, it's microplastics in decorative materials or in articles. So following the intersection of microplastics in decorative articles by ECHA, we have introduced a ban of synthetic polymers of these microplastics in decorative articles. Also, taffeta labels, due to their instability and small size, an exception was made for taffeta labels. The new allowed pH range has been expanded for these articles and is now 4 to 9. Moving on to our organic cotton updates. We mainly look at fraud prevention here. So the ginning and spinning processes are key points for the supply chain where mixing of conventional and organic cotton can happen. Moreover, the quantitative method can only be performed on raw cotton. It is therefore important to make sure that there is no fraud from the beginning of the supply chain custody. For this purpose, Oeko-Tex auditors will be taking samples from all ginning and spinning facilities that want to get an organic cotton certificate. There have also been some standard updates for combined Standard 100 and organic cotton. And first of all, that's both are for the environmental protection increase. Firstly, it's VOCs, so volatile organic chemicals. These will now also be tested in the Annex 4. For those who are unaware, we have an Annex 4 and an Annex 6 with restricted substances for the Standard 100 and organic cotton. And VOCs used to only be in the Annex 6, but they will now also be tested in the Annex 4. And there will be a transitional period of 1 year until it's implemented in the Annex 4. Next, GMO content for organic certificates. So following our knowledge gained the last year, the reduction of the GMO limit value from 10 to 5% is an appropriate measure to avoid golden samples while still accounting for unavoidable contamination. Next, let's talk about the leather standard. Here, there was a change in the leather origin adapted questions. So we want to be in line with the European Union regulation on deforestation, free supply chains. For this, the Oeko-Tex leather standard introduced an increased emphasis on the traceability of leather materials and require proof of origin for these materials. So worldwide, an area larger than the EU has been deforested over the last 3 decades, and the EU Deforestation Free Regulation adopted this summer, or last summer, I should say, includes strict due diligence obligations for companies placing certain raw materials and products on or exporting from the European market. Okay, let's go on with the EcoPassport updates. First and foremost, let's talk about a self-assessment. So after a lot of feedback, we have shortened our self-assessment for the EcoPassport. The self-assessment has been added to the application form, actually. It used to be its own separate long document, but now customers will only have to check boxes on 3 pages where they fulfill the requirements, and then our institutes will perform the checks to verify that data. Talking about self-assessment, it was made mandatory last April 2023. So the self-assessment had to be done for each customer applying for an EcoPassport. However, there was a transitional period for existing customers, but this is ending in March 2024. So starting April 2024, every renewal, every new certificate has to have a valid, mandatory self-assessment. And for those who are just joining us right now, as I said in the beginning, all of these new rules and regulations, unless explicitly stated otherwise, will go into effect as of April 1st, 2024. Next, foam production chemicals will be added to the EcoPassport product categories. Customers will be able to apply for them regularly and display them in the buying guide as of April 1st, 2024. And lastly, for the EcoPassport, a new restriction table was added in our standard. So the new EcoPassport standard now includes an extra column here, as you can see in our Annex 4. With this, customers can see which substances and parameters can have restrictions and what the maximum limit value thereof is. Moving on to STEP and the standard updates there. Again, microplastics is a big topic which we're trying to tackle because microplastics place a huge burden on biodiversity and the overall health of an ecosystem. So Oikotex has implemented new regulations to address these environmental concerns. STEP requires operating facilities to take robust measures to avoid the release of microplastics into the environment. There is also further cooperation between STEP and ZDHC. So starting sometime in Q1 2024, we at Oikotex can offer our certified STEP facilities the following discounts for ZDHC supplier to zero. So for the ZDHC foundational level, which is the level 1, there's a 100% discount for STEP customers. So one is more or less automatically approved. For the ZDHC progressive level 2, there is a 50% discount for the STEP customers. So if certified STEP customers wish to join, they should contact their certifying institute where they will receive a token as soon as this goes into effect. There were also, as every year, some updates to the STEP assessment. 85 questions in total were changed, 3 questions were deleted or consolidated, and 5 new questions were added covering leather, organic cotton, and microplastics. Detailed information about the changes will be shared with all STEP auditors and lead auditors, which can be consulted. And lastly, as most of you know, we have had a rebranding. You can see the logo on the left here was our old logo, and we have made our new more colorful logo on the right. for this, we have a transitional phase, a 2-year transitional phase to be exact, and all labels, both online and offline, must be updated in accordance with the rebranding. So right now we're exactly in the middle, but as of the end of this year, this will go into effect. So December 2024 is when this transitional period ends. And with that, I'd like to thank everyone for attending. If you have any questions, please direct them to info@oecotex.com. We will be able to help you as soon as possible. With that, I'd say thank you for joining and have a nice day. Goodbye.